Rita Repulsa as the Green Ranger is insane, and I feel like we even haven't scratched the surface of what her full potential can be as a Ranger within the Prime universe. So, let's talk about Power Rangers Prime issue 9 because there is a lot to go over with this one issue. So the issue opens up with a flashback 1 week ago, I guess before the series even began, and Rita is in her space dumpster. And you've got a narrating sort of talking about the lives that she led or she could have led within these different alternate timelines. And you see Mystic Mother, you see Mistress Vile, and then you see the Prime Rita. And then on the next page, you get this amazing double page spread by Michael, and Michael's artwork in this issue kills it. Michael always kills it with his artwork in Power Rangers Prime, but on this issue was amazing. But what we get is we get this giant 2-page spread of, we see this, basically this shattering glass, and we see all these different timelines of Rita, of what Rita could have been. And there's like so many we can go over, like Gladiator Rita, Explorer Rita, Pilot Rita, it looks like, Monk Rita. There are so many Ritas within this universe that we can go over within this universe. But Rita says that she used to believe in good and evil and believe in will, but now she says she just believes in surviving and taking whatever form of survival she can take to survive. Now, is this the old Rita Repulsa from the old universe that ended with her being trapped in the dumpster at the end of Darkest Hour? Honestly, no idea. I don't think we're going to get a proper confirmation until Melissa finally confirms it. But there is a line in this issue that does maybe confirm it, but I don't know. I don't think Melissa's going to spell it out for us. I think we have to sort of decide, is this the Rita Repulsa we knew from the other series, or is this a different Rita that's sort of seen all these different realities of the person she could have been, and she's just going to survive moving forward? I have no idea, but we'll get to that line when we touch upon it. So right away, this issue picks up where the last issue left off on, where Rita is now the Green Ranger, and right away, she jumps right into action. And I gotta say, these action scenes we get where Rita is just easily making mincemeat of the VR troopers within the first couple of pages is really freaking amazing. Like, she backhands freaking Ryan with her wand, and then JB she easily deals with. And then she finds Caitlin. Now, Caitlin's able to hold her own against Rita in this fight, but I feel like Rita was holding back because Rita could have probably easily wiped the floor with the VR troopers if she wanted to, but she was essentially putting on a show. Because it seems like that Rita was caught by Caitlin when she uses her shadow clone jutsus on her, but Rita just takes it up to like 11, takes it up to 100, you could say, because she uses her magic to make the VR troopers' car just fall out of the sky and nearly crush the VR troopers, but then she escapes with all the commotion, and then she begins using her magic, and what she does is you've got Bulk and TZ sort of watching from afar on the mountainsides, and Rita begins to use her magic powers to make TZ grow. And I love a line that she says to Mark and Orion by saying, "Look, I should thank you, Blue and Pink, because you never understood the full potential of these little machines, because once they grow, they become quite monstrous." And I freaking love that. Like, Rita's able to turn this little teeny tiny Zord into a beast. Like, she's able to use her magic wand to make something grow, and turning TZ into like a full-on Zord is freaking amazing, because TZ in this form is giving the VR troopers a run for their money as they're trying to dodge the fireballs and dodge all the blast, and they're sort of running on fumes right now as they're barely able to keep up. And it almost looks like it's going to be the end for the VR troopers, but Lauren quickly decides, look, we're not getting anywhere this way, so she jumps right in front of TZ and says, look, stop it. And I like TZ's expression here. It looks really freaking cool, like the size of him compared to Lauren. Like, he is a giant Zord, but Rita's pissed off and she's like, what are you doing? This is our chance to destroy them. And Valentina's like, what makes you think we want to do that? And Rita's like, well, I certainly do, which kind of got a laugh out of me with her response, because she was like ready to destroy the VR troopers and pull them apart. Like I said, if she went all out against the VR troopers in this situation, I think they wouldn't be standing right now. They'd probably be like in the hospital or even worse, dead at this point, because like Rita's whole sort of philosophy in this universe, this Rita, she's built on survival of the fittest. So she would have taken them out without even like holding back if she wanted to, but she could have like wiped the floor with him. So Lauren decides to negotiate with the VR troopers because she does say to Rita by saying, "You said I need to be a leader, right?" And Rita then goes on to say by saying, "Look, martyrs are only useful in history books, child. I'm not a martyr any more than you are a ranger." So I really like that response that she said there. But Lauren tries to bargain with what's left of this negotiation they can strike with the VR troopers by saying, "Look, take me, but let my friends go." And Ryan's like, "Look, I think we're past that part already, aren't we?" And Lauren says, "Look, it doesn't have to be unless you want our T-Rex friend back in action. And I don't know if you're up to take on all of us right now." So she's calling the shots right now. So she says, "Look, as talented as you guys are, I doubt you can take all 6 of us on, plus this sword." Now, Valentina is questioning what does Lauren get out of this by turning herself in, but Lauren's response is simply power. So after that, time passes and Orion is pissed off with Rita by saying, "Look, you could have stopped this. All this time you could have taken that power." And I love Rita's response here by saying, "Look, I'm no ranger. I'm not pure of heart. I'm not here to save my fellow man. To deny myself this power was a favor to you." And she goes on to say by saying, "Look, I once tasted power darker and more dangerous than you could ever comprehend, and I destroyed worlds with it. You, Orion, you've lost everything. In my place, would have you done the same?" And Orion replies with, "No. Then do not judge me for my actions, and I will not judge you for your inaction." And again, once again, Rita's response is putting the Rangers in their place by saying, "Look, we are nothing alike. We are not the same." So again, Rita, once again, freaking awesome with how Melissa writes this character. So again, that line by saying Rita saying, "I once tasted power more darker and dangerous than you could ever comprehend, and I destroyed worlds with it." So is that implying that was the Rita who was Mistress Vile, or is that just like a Rita who had a glimpse of what Mistress Vile could do and she saw sort of that different reality or that alternate timeline? Like, I have no idea at this point. But again, Rita is freaking awesome in this comic and I freaking love her. So the next plan of action or the next plan of attack is to find out where they're taking or where they're keeping Lauren, because that's probably going to be their next biggest battle with all the solicitations and everything they're teasing, especially where this issue ends up on, and we'll talk about that in a bit. So one thing I want to bring up is Mark is enamored by Rita being a ranger, and he's like, "Look, you're a ranger. You figured out how to give us powers. Power up TZ. Can you do more than that?" And Rita's like, "Finally, one of you is asking the right questions." And that's where that ends. So while that's all going on, you've got the VR troopers driving Lauren to wherever they're taking her in their banged up car. And I mean, they are just riding this thing along the road. Like the windows are all smashed, the hood's all banged up. It has seen better days properly. So we have this conversation where Lauren is talking with the VR troopers, and she doesn't seem scared. She even points out how awkward this situation is, but she then goes on to talk about her father and how her father was a great ranger and how she hopes to be a great ranger like him. And the VR troopers do ask, like, "What happened to your father?" And she says, "Well, he was taken away, and I'm hoping that maybe where you're taking me, I can reunite with him, because I haven't seen him since I was a teenager, and I've lived on nothing but hope for many years." So she's hoping that going to this prison, she'll get to reunite with her father. So once inside the prison, this is where we learn a lot with how the Eltarians deal with things, but not only that, how they sort of view Rangers. So right away, she's put in this containment, and they've taken away her power coin so she can no longer morph. And she asks one of the Eltarians by saying, "Am I terrifying to you?" And Janessa responds with, "You have no idea." So this is when we sort of see more of the Eltarians from behind the scenes. We see this giant Eltarian council of all these different Eltarians, each one of them kind of looking like, I guess, a different kind of Eltarian. One of them looks like the Kingpin from Spider-Man. I will say that. One of them looks like the Kingpin from Spider-Man. And then we've got the other one called Yolem, I believe their name is. And they kind of look like the freaking Dr. Manhattan from The Watchmen. So we've got some really interesting Eltarian designs here. But one of them finally confirms all my theories for so long, and that is Zardes is in this universe. Is it the same Zardes we saw from the Eltarian War? No idea, that hasn't been confirmed yet, but he kind of understands the threat of the situation going on. So, the Council of Eltarians asked Janessa, saying, look, have you started using the brain testers yet? Have they dug into her brain yet to sort of probe her mind? And Janessa's like, look, human minds are fragile. If we dig too deep into them, the brain might break. So they don't want to turn into a vegetable if they sort of probe her brain too hard. So Janessa's like, look, I prefer to use gentle methods when extracting information. So we'll see what her methods are going to be moving forward. I get the feeling they'll probably try and use Lauren's family against her, or in a hostage situation in kind of way. So we'll see what happens. I wouldn't say that's more of a gentle information, but they're probably not going to pick her brain apart, but they'll probably use like psychological warfare to sort of get answers from her. But like I said, Zardes is here, and one threat that he's worried about is Rita, because he says the Space Witch has created more Rangers, and if she's out there, then the morphin energy is bleeding off this planet, so it's creating more threats out there that are Rangers. So they need to capture Rita and every Ranger she's created, because they can't allow the morphin grid to be accessed so easily. So now the Eltarians' plan makes sense. They want to control the morphin grid. That makes sense that they want to control the morphin grid and sort of get a hold of it. That's probably why they had all those morphers on display. That's probably why they had all those morphers in there. The power coin, it kind of makes sense. The Eltarians are sort of gathering items that can access the morphin grid and sort of strip them away, sort of keep them for themselves. So that way Rangers aren't a threat anymore. So Zardes is here, but he says, look, we can't trust the human VR troopers or the human troopers with such a task, so they're going to be using one of their own for this mission. And this is when we get the reveal of the big boss of this story arc of Power Rangers Prime for the past year. Well, I guess this character has probably been lurking in the shadows for a while, even though they were introduced in this issue, but this is the big next main threat moving forward. This is who we're meant to be worried about, not the VR troopers. We are meant to be worried about Volar, who is the father of Jana and the partner of Janessa. And this guy looks menacing, I will say that, because when he steps forward on that final page, you see this big menacing grin on his face. You can see his golden Eltarian eyes, but not only that, he's got a scar across his face. One of his eyes are blacked out. I don't know if that was sort of like the lighting of the room or he sort of got injured in battle, but this guy, because we see what he looks like on the cover of issue 11, he is definitely a threat moving forward, and we'll probably learn more about him in next month's issue, because that is going to be a Jun-focused issue, and preview pages for issue 11 have kind of dropped, and we kind of have an idea what this guy is about, but I feel like this is the big main antagonist of this main story arc for Power Rangers Prime for the first year run of this series. So we'll see where that's going to go moving forward. But Power Rangers Prime issue 13 was amazing. I can't wait to see more of Rita as the Green Ranger, because I feel like I said, we've only scratched the potential of what she can do. And she's already teased the mark that she can do a lot more. So we'll see what's going to happen moving forward. But we've got our big main boss here. We've got Rita as the 6th Ranger. Lauren's been captured, and we'll see what's going to happen to her moving forward. And the VR troopers, I get the feeling they're going to move away from the Eltarian sort of forces and do their own thing once they sort of see what's actually happening behind the scenes with everything going on. So that's going to be interesting moving forward. But what did you guys think of Power Rangers Prime issue 9? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. And with that said, I'll catch you guys later. Peace out. Take care. Bye.